one of the best B pay-per-views that WWE put on in the 2000s. I'm Charm Renton with the retro review of WWE Armageddon 2006, the Inferno match, the added ladder match, and boy, that main event with Batista and Cena against Finlay and Booker, and also the Last Ride match, and Boogeyman versus The Miz. Well, you had to do something to fill out the card, and also a lingerie naughty or nice contest. Boy, the women really weren't treated all that well back then, were they? But honestly, this is a really, really damn good pay-per-view. Tons of great energy in the crowd and throughout the entire show. The wrestlers really were feeling it. Even though they were in the Richmond Coliseum, stronghold for Jim Crockett Promotions and WCW, they didn't have it sold out. It was like 8,200 people, and there's about 11 to 13,000 seats in there, depending on, how many seats you open. And unfortunately, I believe that, Coliseum has been shut down. Damn shame, but it was open for a really long time. These things do happen. The dark match, by the way, was Vladimir Kozlov versus Scotty 2 Hotty. They had Kozlov back in 2006, and somehow were not able to get that much out of him, though it was very entertainment. He loves WWE. If you remember that, goddamn, you are a hell of a fan. You've been watching them as long as I have, if not longer. I've been watching since 1985. What about you guys? Answers in the comments, please. So, we start off with the Inferno match. Kane versus MVP. Cole and JBL on commentary. JBL at times was a little bit insufferable, but was much better here than he would be in 2013 and beyond until he was gone. Thank fucking Christ he's not on commentary anymore. The sad thing is Michael Cole was annoying here, but not nearly as annoying as he would get. When he was allowed to, call things and not have people screaming in his ear, he was not actually that bad. And this was one of the few times where I'm like, okay, there were times he annoyed me, but at least he was calling more of the spots and not just screaming at us. So, this match wasn't necessarily great, but, you can't compare it to the first Inferno match, Kane versus Undertaker, Unforgiven 98. But that being said, this was really, really good. This was really fucking good as far as just the visual of MVP getting his back set on fire. And it just was cool how they did it. It's still scary, though, because he wore the normal, outfit. And the fact is they gimmicked it so the fire would only catch in a certain spot, but that's still dangerous. And the way he ran, the fire almost went down to his legs. That could have really fucking hurt. And I hope MVP got a big bonus for this. So, but that was pretty damn cool. But then we go right to Teddy Long with Layla, Ashley Mazzaro. Boy, that whole tribute to the troops thing, that Ashley was told not to say anything about because it would ruin the relationship that WWE had with the military. No wonder Ashley was depressed for a while and didn't like her time in WWE, despite the fact that she was forced to fight through a leg injury and forced to fight through a whole bunch. I'm not saying Ashley was ever all that great in the goddamn ring. She wasn't, but she wasn't really allowed to get all that much better, and she was forced to work while recovering from that leg injury. Now, let's just have her not, get any kind of, payoff or whatever for this. Or maybe we could not have worked with the military on that and maybe just, I don't know, done some virtual stuff or something. Nope, we're just going to make one of our fucking talents be silent about this. Be silent about a goddamn assault. That's fucking horseshit. And one of many things that Vince McMahon has on his list when he gets sent straight to hell, whenever the fuck he finally joins Pat Patterson there. There ain't no ring, boys, where Pat Patterson's going. Anyway, so, also Crystal was there. Yeah, I feel bad for Ashley Mazzaro, by the way. I just really, really fucking do. But Crystal was also there, and Jillian. Layla, by the way, had the frizzy hair, and I always liked Layla. Always fancied Layla. A naughty or nice lingerie contest. I'm starting to kind of remember how the women weren't taking all that seriously, and it's no wonder the talents that were there. I mean, this was right after Lita and Trish had left. They still had Victoria. They had reduced her to basically being not really used all that well. Mickey wasn't being used all that well. They had Melina. They had others, but they just weren't used. They were using the women's window dressing. Even if they were just pretty women that really weren't allowed to do all that much in the ring, there were some that wanted to learn, and I just always kind of look back on it where, yes, there were some that maybe should have never been in the ring, but there were some that could have been so much more. But Vince McMahon's like, no, we had so many talented women leave, our two top stars. We can't trust any of these other women, even though there are plenty of others that could work. What do you guys think of the Divas era, by the way? Answers in the comments, please. So, we get Kendrick in London versus Dave Taylor and William Regal. Now, it was supposed to just be a traditional match for the WWE Tag Team Championships, that is. But yeah, Dave Taylor, very odd that he came back in 2006. Tatanka came back at the '06 Rumble, and Dave Taylor came back, sometime in later '06 and teamed with Regal to reunite the Blue Bloods, like in WCW in '95 to early '98. Then Regal left, became the Real Man's Man, and then went back for a bit. And then they were disbanded when Regal went back to WWE because he was then the European champion, a whole bunch of stuff, and should have been WWE champion. Still, Dave Taylor came back, but hey, hell of a worker. And yeah, Tatanka, by the way, was gone by this point. I think he was gone by November of '06. He was going to feud with Lashley, and then they dropped it because he was released from his contract. Very strange. '06 was an odd time. You had DX all over the television, which we didn't really fucking need. Then Teddy Long says, hey, I'm going to add a whole bunch of people to this. I'm going to add some teams because I want to make this a ladder match and we need to add more guys because I don't want you to be alone there. I'm in a giving mood. And he promotes the Divas Naughty or Nice Lingerie contest because, again, respecting women, am I right? And it's the Hardys and Eminem. One funny thing about this, I recently retro-reviewed ECW December to Dismember, which wasn't ECW, by the way. It was Vince McMahon's bastardized version of it. But Eminem versus the Hardys was supposed to be the last time that they faced off. Possibly the last time they faced off because they may go to different brands. Okay. Now they're facing off here, and then I think they faced off again during the Royal Rumble. Was it during the Royal Rumble and to open it? I'm actually trying to remember. Because I know that they've had another match at some point. So much for the last time ever. But WWE never lies about that. Except all the fucking time. But this was insane. This was an insane match. It was a car crash. Regal and Taylor, though, pushing the ladders away and just wanting to do street fighting and basically beat up everybody. That was actually pretty damn cool. They were scared of heights, but they found a way to get a little bit creative a little bit later because they were out of their element, but they could fight and they could use weaponry. But they were just better using their fists. And yeah, oh boy, Joey Mercury, that bump. I am so glad that Joey Mercury seems to be doing better and got clean. He talked about that in the CM Punk documentary because he was not in a good place, for a while. And then CM Punk helped him out. That was a really good story, by the way. Check out that CM Punk documentary if you haven't yet. It was around the time of him during his WWE Championship run, the one, that should have led to him having more main events than just about 3. But anyway, Joey Mercury, that spot where it was like the ladder got smashed into his face. It got smashed in, I believe, Nitro's face, later John Morrison. And it got smashed, I believe, in the Matt's face because Jeff jumped off the ladder and Joey's face just exploded. They cut away from it. Not as much as they cut away from the Sid leg break at Sin. Oh boy, got to retro review that at some point. But Joey's nose, everything, literally within seconds, everything swelled up. Everything is swelled up. It looked like raw hamburger. It was fucking frightening. Once again, I'm so glad that Joey Mercury is better now. But goddamn, that had to have halted, or shortened his career quite a bit. Now, I know he wrestled, into 2010 and stuff like that, as far as more full time. And I know he did indie stuff after that, and then did the whole J&J security. But just watching what Joey went through there, it's just fucking brutal. Really fucking brutal. Thankfully, though, he is okay, but he was hauled away instantly. Hauled away. They're like, shit, we got to get him to a hospital. And they actually said, I think they said about MVP a little bit later, a local burn unit. Local burn unit. Not local medical facility, but anyway, Joey, the blood's still on the goddamn ground. It's on the mat. Jeff does this freaking, one spot where it looks like he's going to jump from a ladder into the ring. Don't know why he wouldn't just get on the steps and on the apron. Nope. He gets sent onto the ropes. God damn, that was brutal. And then before that, Regal tosses London, half Nelson suplex right onto the ladder. And then Nitro's showing off, and then bodies are strewn everywhere. And another guy's match wasn't even up yet. And London and Kendrick end up getting the victory. And this is shockingly after Kendrick practically died doing a sliced bread to Regal off the ladder. That was fucking brutal. But yeah, London and Kendrick retained the WWE Tag Team Championships and would have them for almost a year. Then would lose them to Deuce and Domino. Wait, would they lose them to Deuce? They would lose them to Deuce and Domino. I almost forgot about that team. Weird how they got this cool vignette. They had a great theme, and then they held the championships for a bit. Lost to Matt Hardy and MVP. Makeshift tag teams. Fuck the world. Vince McMahon, presumably. So then we get Boogeyman versus Miz. How did Miz get past this gimmick, I wonder? I love Boogeyman. as far as a gimmick, he's entertained. He really is. I mean, it's not my favorite gimmick, but goddamn, the guy is so goddamn into it, and still is now. And the guy's in his mid-50s. Actually, now that I think about it, he's getting closer to 60, and if you've seen any of his workout stuff, the guy's still in incredible shape. There really wasn't much of anything. JBL mocking Miz because this is when Miz was kind of going through a lot of locker room issues because he was not that well liked. Thankfully, he got past that, and look where he is now, doing a lot of bullshit comedy. But still, he has managed to last a hell of a lot longer than I thought, and that is a credit to him as a performer. And a double choke bomb, 1, 2, 3. We then get we get Vicky Guerrero and Chavo backstage, and they wanted a bigger wall built around the Armageddon set to keep other people out. Yeah, I'm going to mock them for that, even though this was back in 06 and this is now, but I don't fucking care. They're both fucking idiots for thinking that way. And so are any of you if you feel the way they do. You guys are fucking idiots. And, man, Vicky's in a neck brace because Benoit hit her and he targeted her neck, and I don't even need to say anything else there. He targeted another man's wife's neck. What else do I need to say? Benoit versus Chavo, U.S. Championship. And man, Benoit going after another wrestler's family before he decided to turn on his own. And he retained the U.S. Championship with a sharpshooter. It's hard to watch Benoit matches without making these extremely dark jokes. That's how I get through things. And then we have Gregory Helms versus Jimmy Wang Yang. I'm your boy. Yeehaw. Cruiserweight Championship. It's funny. This actually happened 6 years to the day that Starrcade 2000 happened, where 2 out of 3 count, Helms and Moore, took on the Young Dragons, Yang and Kaz Hayashi, and also Noble and Evan Courageous. You remember Evan Courageous? That guy that looked great, and that's it. That's really all Evan Courageous ever was. He looked great, and he couldn't really do anything. He could dance. At least I think that's what he called it. Alex Wright could dance. He could do the dance, which I can't do the dance of because I don't have the music in my head. But, you know, I somehow dance better than Evan Courageous, which is saying something. So, it's kind of funny, those 6 years to that day, they are having a singles match for the Cruiserweight Championship. It's just a shame that WWE did not care about the Cruiserweight title at this point. As opposed to now, where I actually had to remind myself who the fuck the Cruiserweight Champion is. It's Santos Escobar. I actually just had to remember again, because that's how little I can remember about these 17 million championships that WWE has. Match is good. Both these guys are talented. Yang's doing like some kind of food truck business now. Helms really was underappreciated during his time in WWE. And I blame myself for that, especially. I should have appreciated him more. And then Spiral Tap misses, Codebreaker Variation, 1, 2, 3. And Helms retains. I believe he would hold the championship. He won it in January of that year and would hold it till February of 2007, where Chavo would beat him. And then Chavo would lose it to the last Cruiserweight champion before they deactivated it, Hornswoggle, who makes a little appearance in the main event. The Little Bastard, because he was called the Little Bastard, not Hornswoggle. Mr. Kennedy versus The Undertaker last ride match. It wasn't dull. I'm really not going to say too much about this, except it was a casket match. Just you had to drive the casket out of there. You had to drive somebody out in a hearse. The toss off the stage was really goddamn cool. They, laid this shit in. There was some really good stuff. And it was kind of nice. Undertaker having the tables turned on him, tossed off with something. Obviously a crash pad, but still... It was done safely, but it looked cool. And just the thud of, his body landing and everything. And then sit up in the hearse, Undertaker, it's like, Mr. Candy's like, I'm driving away, Undertaker, hi. And then, attacks him and beats him up. And JBL's like, Candy, get away from him, get away from him. And then Candy's bleeding from the head, chokeslam on the roof, tombstone on the roof, and then hearse driven away. And months before Benoit needed it. So then we had that happen. Then we had Booker assured by Finlay. And then Finlay assures Booker, we're not going to turn on each other. And Finlay says, well, I got the luck of the Irish. And he's doing this whole comical accent and talking about the little bastard. I got my shillelagh. And you just have Charmel. And it was kind of funny, because it was going to separate the King's Court because, Booker was going to still be King Booker until SummerSlam of 07, where he would lose to the King of Kings, Triple H, and, who's returning from injury, one of his quad injuries. Kevin Nash takes his hat off to him and tears his quad doing it. So, yeah, that didn't really last all that long. And then Booker went to TNA and basically had a 2-year vacation. He did not fucking care one bit. So, then Santa hosts the Diva Naughty or Nice lingerie contest. The Santa Claus, by the way, was Big Dick Johnson. That explains why I was absolutely infuriated when I watched it, because I hated the character. And I think he's written TV. I think he actually helped write for Lucha Underground, which, look, he's better, writing shit and not seen. I'll say that much. And yes, poor everybody. Poor Ashley, for having to keep silent about the tribute to the troops, saying Vince McMahon, the dumb son of a bitch. Moving on. Layla looked great. Ashley won, I think. I'm actually not totally sure. Layla, by the way, I believe still married to Ricky Ortiz. The man that had the rally towel? Yeah, she's married to him. And they seem happy, so that's great. There really wasn't much of anything to this. Cena and Batista, WWE and World Champ respectively, that is, versus Booker and Finlay. And my God, big fight feel, and it was just a silly main event. It was almost like a house show match, or like a dark match that they would have after, Raw went off the air, SmackDown went off the air, because Cena got beat up for a while after, after they got in some shots, the faces got in some shots, the heels are reeling, they attacked them on TV previously, and then Batista got the hot tag eventually. We got Shenanigans, Little Bastard made his appearance, Hornswoggle, who somehow is still being booked on wrestling programs, well, Impact, which I guess counts as a wrestling program, and Batista bombed the Booker for 3. So yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Wasn't much of anything. But this was the point, though. There was a period of time where Batista was over like a god to the fans. This was during that time. I would say about 05 to 08. Once the injuries really started piling up, that was about it. But overall, a very fun event with a whole lot of energy. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.